Let's do it.
All right, we are recording. What is
All right.
up, Flyers fans? We're getting ready with our next segment of the Florida Flyer, trying something new. Have my brother on with us today. A he's a Jersey native, real close to Philly, so he's got his finger on the pulse of the team. So how's it going, buddy?
It's going, man. It's going.
It's
Good time to be in the Philly area right now, man.
oh yeah,
It's been fun.
I'm assuming the last couple weeks have been a little bit of a whirlwind
It's
with
been insane.
the
Just
Sixers are
like
playing well, Flyers doing well, Eagles winning a Super Bowl.
yeah, it's been off of that Super Bowl high this whole time. Like we just got like our first losses like this week from the Super Bowl, which was a month ago. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, the teams have really kind of backpacked off that Eagles momentum. It seems like so excited to see what the Phillies got.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of jealousy, Claude Giroux wants to parade for himself here.
Oh, his face was not good during the Florida game. He was upset.
Yeah, yeah.
There was some upset feelings, but we got some stuff to talk about. So let's jump right in. My first question for you, more than anything, is and I think this is a lot of questions that Flyers fans have: is Dave Haxtell a good coach?
Oh man, like there's been talk in the past couple weeks that I've been hearing about him for the Jack Adams, and he's a coach of the year, and like first of all, nobody's gonna beat like Gerard Gallant for the Knights. Like he's got that locked up.
Is he?
But
They were first in the league at one point. It's going to be
yeah,
hard to. It's
right. There's best expansion team in the history of probably sports. It's crazy. So no, he's not gonna win that. Um, is he doing a better job of late than he was in the beginning? Sure, but there's still just calls that he makes during games that just makes me shake my head. Most recently, giving Peter Mrazek the back-to-back starts over the weekend made no sense to me on back-to-back days when Lions last time he played won he's won two straight. So why not give the kid a chance? Give Mrazek a day off, especially with Pittsburgh coming up and Boston coming up this week.
Yeah,
I think I
you
think he needed a day off.
you would have rather had him start the back to backs with Pittsburgh and Boston than the Tampa and Florida,
That's what I'm saying.
personally. But I can't get past the fact that he didn't start Lyon, and honestly, he let up six in Tampa and he didn't look good.
He didn't
So
look good when he let up four against who he let up four against
Carolina.
before that. Carolina, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
Carolina.
it wasn't a strong performance, but I feel like the defense has really been kind of leaving him a little high and dry as well.
Yeah,
That's something I looked at earlier. Brandon Manning in two of the three losses had over 21 minutes on the ice, and it
it
seemed.
blows my mind.
I mean, are you seeing something that I'm not seeing? I've ragged on the guy quite a bit this year,
Man,
and
I haven't said a positive word about that guy ever. So I'm seeing nothing. I don't know what they're seeing. I'm looking at stats right now. He's only a -1, which also blows my mind. Because I think he is the biggest liability on your blue line, if not your entire team.
well, I would argue that he's taking a defenseman that is at least decent in Radko Gudas and making him an underachieving defenseman. I think
Yeah, especially
Radko's
because Gudis at this level is gonna need any help that he can get. He's gonna have to play with someone solid, and Brandon Manning's not that guy.
I just what does he bring to the team? What does Hack see right now that he brings? And even when Simmer went out, so Patrick went up to the first power play, and thankfully Simmer practiced today, which is great.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that.
But Patrick moved up to the first power play. The first guy to jump back on the second power play was Brandon Manning. What
Oh man, the first time I saw him on the power play was a few weeks ago, and I was screaming. I think I was in the airport heading home from Florida, and I was screaming in the airport. Like, are you kidding me? What is he doing out there on power play? It just makes me shake my head, man. I have no answer for that.
So if you got your way, if you were GM for a day, you got to sit in Ron Hextall's chair.
I wish.
I do too. What would your ideal team look like? Who's obviously you have your starters, but who's jumping in for Brandon Manning? And I'm assuming Yuri Laterra and Valtteri Filppula would both be out of the lineup in my perfect
Yes,
lineup.
absolutely.
But
So,
who would you have in your perfect lineup? What would the lines look like?
all right. So out of this starting roster right now, um, I would take out obviously Weiss and Laterra and Manning, and right there I would just replace them with you need to keep Limbaum up. I mean, he's probably already got sent back down. Who knows with Simmons coming back? I would definitely keep him up. Um, Sam Moran, I know he's probably been battling injuries. I think I've heard for the Phantoms, don't know 100% there, but I would love to see him in the NHL. He got like a taste at the end of the season last year, and I think he brings what they want Gudis to bring and more. So I think he's one of your top defensemen in the next year or two. Um, and also, I'd like to see. I don't know. They've brought up a few young guys all season. Like that guy Danik Martel looked really really good.
Yeah, when they sent him back down, I was surprised and angry,
Surprised. Yeah,
and
definitely angry.
very frustrated.
Definitely keep Lindbaum up and give a kid a chance. Oh, Vecchione is lighting it up. So I would love to see him come up too.
Well, the thing that I think is really interesting too is they sent Travis Sanheim down, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but they did. And
Yeah,
since he's gone back down, he's been damn near a point a game player for the Phantoms.
killing it.
And so I'll ask you, you've seen a lot of playoff hockey, you've played a lot of hockey in your time. We have what is one very good defensive pairing in the Provorov Ghost pairing. Solid pairing.
One of the best in the league.
Easily. Can this team succeed with one great pairing and two garbage pairings? Like, let's call it how it is.
No, they're not going to get by against Pittsburgh, who it looks like if the season ended today, we'd have in the first round. So they would get picked apart. We would just lose matchups left and right. I like that we brought in Oduya. I know he's a little bit older, but the man's won a couple Stanley Cups. That can tighten up your line a little bit. You put him with like maybe Mac or if you if I have it my way, bring up Moran or bring Sanheim back up maybe and get him playing with some guys with some experience. That only helps them build. So I like to do that, but the team now, as good as things have been, I'm still not totally convinced that like they can make a good playoff run.
Yeah, I think they're still a year, maybe two, away from making a good run. But I feel like people are losing sight of what this year was supposed to be. The way I look at it right now is they're playing with house money. They should not have been where they are currently, which is battling for first place in the Metro. And the fact that they traded away Braden Shen, who is what we have now seen a 30-goal scorer in this league, a natural center. You know, they traded him away, and to have Yuri Laterra, Dale Weiss, and Brandon Manning getting regular minutes on your team to still be where we are. You know, once we get the Sanheims of the world, the Phil Myers, Sam Morans, those guys, once they get up here, Vecchione, all them, I think this team can really make a push. But does it seem like to you at least, the front office is neglecting to play more young guys?
Yeah, it's definitely seemed like that. I've been very happy with Lindbaum being up in the lineup. I know he hasn't put any points up, but he has been so creative and been a huge part in a few goals, even though he doesn't have any assists to show for it. I think he's been amazing. I think him and Patrick look amazing together. And I just think it shows like you need to have these kids up and playing. But I think it may be like a salary cap issue that really is keeping some of these kids down, and that hurts because we're paying Weiss like $2.5 million a year. Laterra makes over $4 million a year.
4.7, something like that.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know why we got him in that deal with Shen.
Well, I understand that it was a cap for cap hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not going to complain because Morgan Frost killing it in the OHL right now. 102 points.
Yeah, it's amazing.
38 goals. I'll take that. I don't know what number he's going to wear when he gets here because he wears 16 for the Greyhounds, but
oh man,
Can't, you're not allowed to wear that one here. But so Brandon Manning, we've established not everyone's favorite player in the world. But what other things have you noticed? What other things are you interested in? This season, what have you seen?
I mean, to get on like a positive, man, like who saw this coming from Sean Couturier? I've been very like very open with how I feel about him and how I don't think he's worth what we pay him. Um, but it's been great to watch this year playing with Giroux, and I just think that's what G brings to the table. But man, he's been filling the net. He's stuck at 29 right now, but I think once he gets that 30th goal, he's gonna break through again, and who knows, man, maybe approach 40 with a couple weeks left in the season, man. If you get to like 35, 40 goals, that would be phenomenal. Good to see Ghost bounce back really, really well. Um, he's got to be in some discussions, man. Um, we can get into that later, but
Oh yeah,
yeah, I definitely want to get into that. Um, yeah, dude, Nolan Patrick over the last couple weeks, he had like 2 goals a few weeks ago. Now he's got 10. He's got 20 points. Just looks all around solid. Looks great on that top unit. Be sad to see him go when Simmons comes back, but
I
uh,
mean, he's got a
yeah,
nose for the
restricted.
net. He's got a
Yeah,
nose for the net. He knows where to go, and he looks faster now. I think he's less hesitant.
I think he's way more confident.
And it really shows in his game. It shows him what he's bringing, and I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, I'm wearing my Nolan. Hold on, this way. My Nolan
Oh,
Patrick
nice,
jersey. So
nice,
I have a little bit of respect for the guy. But
absolutely.
so what do you think? Who's the starting goalie? The Flyers are damn near a lock to make the playoffs. Who
Man,
do
it
you?
is it is tough, man. When I heard we got Mrazek that night, I thought immediately like, wow, Elliot just lost his job. Like just getting hurt, he just lost his job. But I don't know, man. Elliot's been our guy all year. I think you gotta give him that loyalty. You gotta give him a chance when he comes back to earn his net back. I've got faith in the guy. I know he's an older guy, but he he's a huge part of why this team is where it's at right now. So I'd like to see him get a chance when he comes back.
Do you think Michael Neuvirt's played his last game as a Flyer?
We'll see if we can get rid of that. I know like it's past that time now, but yeah, for the season probably. Um, Mrazek is unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, I believe.
Restricted free agent.
So restricted. So we'll see if we do anything with that, or if we decide to use the last year of Neuberg's contract, um, which I believe he has one more. So we'll see what happens with that. I'd like to see him go. I'd like to see you go with Elliot and Mrazek for the rest of the year. I think that's a very strong tandem.
Yeah, Mrazek showed in I think it was 2 years ago when the Detroit played Tampa in the playoffs. He single handedly kept the Red Wings in it. So
Yeah,
he's
like 7 games.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and he had like a 935 save percentage or something
yeah. When he's
ridiculous.
locked in, he's locked in, and I think these couple days off will be good for him. And who knows if they're going to play tomorrow night? We're getting like a blizzard here, so might be more time off for him. Um, hopefully, you gotta get some rest and get that out in and practice again. Get back to what we saw in Montreal that night.
Yeah, my concern moving forward, I think, is more than goaltending, and that's crazy for Flyers fans to say.
I know.
Is Dave Haxtell? I just think he doesn't know how to rotate his goaltenders, and he just drives them into the ground.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
So moving on from those shenanigans, Pittsburgh looks like Pittsburgh would be the first round. Like I talked about it earlier today. If the playoffs started today, it would be Philly Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh with the home ice advantage, and I made the prediction that if that's going to be it, I think Pittsburgh wins in seven just based on home ice.
Yeah.
But they're not the healthiest team. Malkin's gone down in the playoffs in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Crosby's gone down. Matt Murray's down right now with a concussion. So,
Yeah, he's been a mess. He's been a mess his whole career.
and
Sorry, I can't stay healthy.
Flurry had his time out this year, but he's been lights out for Vegas when he's there.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh
think
yeah.
do you think Pittsburgh made a mistake? Do you think they gave up the wrong goalie?
No, they're just looking to the future. I get the move they made. You just gotta see if Murray can start staying healthy all for a full season, and because that's been his struggle for his like 3-year career now. He's struggled to stay healthy. So if he can stay healthy, he's definitely an elite goaltender. So I think it's the right move for them.
Now, what would your prediction be? Pittsburgh, Philly. Pittsburgh has home ice. What do you think? Could the Flyers keep up with them offensively? Defense we already talked about, but do you think they could score goals against that Pittsburgh defense?
Yeah, I think they'd be able to fill the net a little bit. Maybe not to the extent that Pittsburgh will be able to, because like we've said already, they're going to be able to pick apart our second and third defense pairings with any matchup at home. So yeah, I'd say that goes 6 or 7, but I do think Pittsburgh would come out on top. I've been saying for the last week or two since we've been in this Metropolitan battle that if the Flyers don't win the Metro, I want Pittsburgh to win it. Because I am confident that we can beat the Capitals in a first round series.
Yeah, I think the Caps are they're set up to fail, honestly. I think they've spent too much money on TJ Oshie. Their underlying numbers are trash, and they depend too much on Ovechkin. And I think if you get either Scott Lawton or Sean Couturier against that Ovechkin line, I think you shut it down. I don't think, I just don't. Washington, I don't think, has the depth. I don't think their defense is very strong. They play Brooks Orpik a whole bunch. And Braden Holtby, definitely not the Braden Holtby of years past.
Yeah, and he always struggles in the postseason, man. I think he struggles more than Ovechkin struggles in the postseason.
I'd love Washington. I'd take Washington.
Yeah. I love Ovechkin. I want to see him win a cup. I know that's crazy for a Flyers fan to say, but I just respect the guy, man. He's proven that he's the most elite goal scorer in the game. So I just think that alone deserves a little bit of a championship. But we'll see, man. We'll see if he can get it done eventually. But I'd like to see him do it in Washington. I don't want to see him move somewhere and get it done somewhere else. I want to see him lift the cup as a Capital. But
I think at this point that Ovechkin being the best goal scorer in the league isn't up for debate anymore. I think you could have earlier made a case for Vladimir Tarasenko, but he's definitely taken a step back this year, and I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you can blame that on Yuri Laterra. I mean, he lost that gem of a center.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that, so can't blame that.
So what's up with the PK? What do you think is what kind of fixes do you think? Is it an Ian LaPerriere thing? Is it the personnel on the penalty kill? Is it what?
I definitely think it's personnel. I liked Lear on that PK early in the year. I know the early in the season struggles on the PK is why we're the 29th best penalty kill in the NHL right now.
Solid.
Yeah, solid. I liked him on there. Yeah, I feel like that's his role. I think he plays that well. Him and Lawton are a good pair. And as much as it sucks to have to put him out there and risk him blocking a shot, I think G is a very strong penalty killer as well. I think he's just a smart guy. Gets the job done, man. I'd hate to see him get hurt blocking a shot, but I think he's one of your smartest players when it comes to hockey sense, and I think he can do a solid job killing penalties with either like Simmons or Couturier. You gotta have Couturier out there, so I do G and Coots and Lawton and Lear as your forwards. But again, you get hurt on defense, you gotta split up Ghost and Provorov on the penalty kill, just to have somebody solid out there the whole time.
Now, to me, it looks like Ghost really stepped up his defensive play this year. Is that something you think is carrying across as well?
Yeah, man. I'll go out and say this right now. I think Shane Gostisbehere has to be in the discussion for the Norris. I think he has been phenomenal. He's completely turned around his game. I knew last year was going to be a sophomore slump for the guy. But he has been phenomenal. If he doesn't even get in that top 3, he's snubbed.
Now, if you had to put 2 other people with him for the Norris, who would it be?
I haven't thought of that. A lot of guys having down years. Your usual candidates are just
Brett Burns.
Victor
tough.
Hedman's got to be in it. Yeah, Brett Burns has been tough. Victor Hedman's got to be in that discussion. I know he's been hurt a little bit this year.
That Lightning defense falls apart without him, though. When he's not there, they fall apart.
That shows that he's got some value. Man, I really couldn't think of another guy. Honestly, I haven't even put much thought into that.
I think that's where the snub comes in. I mean, I agree with the Hedman thing. I mean, Eric Carlson's had a down year. Brett Burns
Yeah,
had a
he
down
spent a lot
year.
of time hurt too.
It's I mean, I think it's Shane's for the taking. But do you think he's overtaken Provorov as the number one defenseman on this team?
Yeah, I do. I think he leads defensively and offensively at this point on the blue line, and um, I think he's your guy. He's a plus 13 right now after being probably a minus player last year.
I think he was heavy minus last year.
Yeah, probably a heavy minus last year. Um, it's remarkable, man. I do think he's your guy. He stepped up to any criticism he had, which was his defense, and he's been a shutdown guy for us this year.
Now, would you going into the playoffs? Would you split that Ghost Provorov pairing and put them with two other players?
It depends what you're gonna do. I'd like to see if you're gonna do it. I'd like to see Ghost and Hake as probably your second unit, and Provorov and Mac as maybe your top unit, just because that did work in the beginning of the year, and Provorov's been like very upfront about how he likes playing with McDonald for God knows what reason.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it makes Mac a little bit better too. So if you're gonna split him up, that's what you got to do.
Now, do you think that would make the team better? Would we have more of a chance in a 7-game series with a separated Ghost and Provorov, or would we just run out that top pairing for 30 minutes a night, which I think is going to happen anyway? I think they'll both play 30 minutes a night.
Yeah. I'd like to see them keep them together, but if it means we can win more games and you got to split them up, you got to split them up. Maybe try it down the stretch here, see what you can do, especially since we're in a little skid right now. See if you split them up and see if it works out. I don't know. I'd like to see what they do, man. I'd like to see if Hacksaw can adjust anything and get his team back to where they were last week.
Now, I think that they're missing puck-moving defensemen on the. I think you have a lot of the same guy in the bottom. I think arguably Robert Haig, Amac, and Gudas are all different forms of the same player. A guy that has a decent shot and can stay at home. And Brandon Manning, I think, is like a zero-dimensional player. He's got a good first pass sometimes.
Sometimes, and for whatever reason, he's scored a few goals this year. But
some of them are pretty too. But
I know, I hate to admit it, but yeah,
he's got some pretty ones. But do you think having a Travis Sanheim or I mean Johnny Oduya, again, arguably the same kind of player that stay at home?
He needs to be in the lineup. Absolutely, he's won what 2 or 3 cups.
2, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be in your lineup. If he plays over Manning, it's a joke. I know Amac is out day to day right now. He might even be back for tomorrow night's game. But if that's the case, you need to scratch Manning. You have to scratch Manning and put Oduya in there. You cannot see it. Hack said at the beginning of the year that Manning is a respected veteran in the locker room, which I think is an absolute joke. You just got Oduya, who is a respected veteran, who has won championships. Get him
for nothing.
Mix.
You got him for a waiver claim.
You claimed him on waivers. Get him in your lineup. Let him make an impact.
Now, what would if Manning comes out of the lineup, who do you put Oduya with?
Either Amac or Gudas, or maybe even Hake. You can put him with any of them. It might even work best with Hake, and then Amac and Gudas. If Amac can play the way he would play with Provorov, that would work out, I think, pretty well.
Do you think the Flyers lose out a little bit because they don't have another right-handed shot on defense?
That's not something I worry about too much, like the lefty-righty. These guys are good enough to be able to keep pucks in the zone on their backhand and kind of defend either way. So I'm not concerned with the lefty-righty thing.
So, I want to talk about Sean Couturier and a Selke nomination. Do you think, with Bergeron hurt, and he's probably not going to be back before the end of the season, if he's back, it'll be with a couple games left, do you think Couturier gets the Selke, or at least a nomination this year?
He'll probably be one of them top 3 noms for at the awards. See if winning it is another thing, but As much as I have expressed my feelings for Coots, um, I have to think he's got to be in that conversation. If he's not in the top three, he got snubbed as well.
Now, do you think G, I mean, just to continue with awards talk, if he keeps on this pace with points, do you think he's up for the Hart?
No doubt in my mind. He has to be in that conversation right now. He's like third in points in the league right now?
Something like that.
I'm trying to look it up. He's tied for fourth right now, but we were off tonight, and Kucherov probably had a couple points, and McDavid's now at 80. He's at 78. He's 8 points behind the lead in the NHL. He brought this team from last in the Metro to first in the Metro for a second there. That can't go unnoticed. It's not going unnoticed. He was first star of the week about 3 weeks ago for the NHL. No doubt in my mind he deserves to be in that conversation and in that top three at the NHL awards over the summer.
I think he's definitely got an argument for comeback player of the year as well. In that area. Him and Ghost, I think, both have taken this team to another level. Where do you put Simmons? If Simmons is back tomorrow, you've already talked how you like Lindblom with Patrick. Do you do you move Jake? Jake hasn't really been producing as much on even strength. Do you put Simmons on the right there, or do you put Simmons down with Lawton or Filppula, or where would you put Simmons in this lineup?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they're probably going to send Lindblom back down. I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm sure that's going to be the case. I'm sure it was just a rental from the Phantoms for a couple weeks while Simmons was out. So I guess you just put him right in that spot and hope that chemistry doesn't get affected there for Patrick, because he's been playing insanely well with Lindblom. Simmons maybe not as creative as Lindblom, but I'd get him back in there and see what him and Patrick can do.
So talk to me about this new Travis Konecny that we haven't really seen.
Yeah, I can't believe we haven't brought him up yet. This has been crazy. I've been saying since probably last preseason, probably this preseason, that I want him with Giroux.
You finally got it.
To help both of them. I finally got it. It took months, but I finally got it. And it's nice to know that I was right all along, and that if I were coaching this team, they'd probably be in a better spot.
17 goals. Do you got a prediction for where Travis finishes as far as goals this season?
I'm gonna go 25. 25 would be awesome. If he can net 8 more this year, that would be great. I don't see him not hitting that. Just with the way he's been playing and the way Giroux's been playing, it's inevitable, man. He's got to get 25.
Makes you kind of wish you could put another guy out there on the power play and have Konecny out with that first unit, because that second unit is just garbage. It's hot garbage.
I have some ideas for that power play if you want to get into that too.
Absolutely. Talk about it. Let's get into it.
I would, as crazy as this may sound, I know he leads the league in assists, I would take Jake off of that top unit, and I would put Provorov there. I'd go 2 defensemen out there. I think Provorov would be solid, like in the middle, like quarterbacking that, especially because they're going to do the umbrella where they just stack the 3 at the top, and you got the one-timer option on the 2 sides. Gostisbehere's got to be in that shooting hall on the right side. He's got the one-timer from there. That's where he scored like all of his goals as a rookie. That's the goal that I love to see. It's like one of the reasons I love Ovechkin the way I do is because that one-timer is just the coolest goal ever.
Stamkos too. Stamkos that's his office.
That's his office, and G's pretty solid over there too. But if you put Ghost over there and you can feed him one-timers, and we're an even a bigger threat than the Capitals on power play because we have Giroux, and then we have Gostisbehere over there. If you put Provorov there,
Simmons up front,
and I guess they have Couturier out there now, just in the high slot. I'm fine with that. And then maybe bumping forecheck down to that second unit, bring some life there, man. Maybe some better entries into the zone, getting set up a little bit better. I don't think, even though he leads the league in assists, I don't think he's the best passer, especially if you're just getting set up. But who knows? Maybe going against like a second line penalty killer will be better for him as well.
The reason I think I like that more than I thought I would is I just I don't think Jake has an elite shot, and I think honestly one of the only players on this team that has an elite shot is Ghost. I think
I
he's
agree.
got a rocket, and when he gets a hold of one, he gets a hold of one.
Look
So
out.
yeah, I definitely think that could yield to some more goals, and I wouldn't even mind even having a different. Provorov would be nice, but then it's you got Brandon Manning on your second power play. You
I know.
got Amac back there on the point. Like that's
Yeah.
not super ideal, but I mean that would be perfect if in a perfect world we got Travis Sanheim and have him quarterback
Yeah. I
with
mean, maybe in like in the next year or two, that is how it is, um, which I would be more than happy with. I know most teams are going four forwards on power play, but I wouldn't get sucked into that, man. If you've got two defensemen who can really bring it from the point, I say keep that going.
Flyers have a lot of interesting defensive prospects coming up the pipeline. Phil Myers, obviously Sam Moran. We've talked about Travis Sanheim. We've talked about a whole bunch. Um, do you know anything about how the Phantoms are doing? What they're looking like? What do you think about them?
I follow them on Instagram. I don't check their standings too often, but from what I see on Instagram, they're pretty fun to watch. I'm gonna look them up real quick, but they're fun to watch. They've got some shifty guys. I know we've touched on Vecchione too. He's looked good, and um, yeah, they've got some players. I think they're doing all right too, if I can remember correctly. Um, there was a time a couple years ago where I didn't think the Flyers could beat the Phantoms, and that was crazy. But
You might not have been
yeah, they
wrong.
are they are first in the Atlantic Division right now.
And they've had no goaltending at
Yeah,
all.
I mean we've been stealing their goalies all season. It doesn't seem to be affecting them.
So I saw right before we jumped on here, T.J. Brennan signed a multi-year extension with the Phantoms, so
I did see that too.
he's going to be down there for a couple more years. I feel like grooming those guys. Super excited about Phil Myers. I don't know how much you know about him. 6'5", right-handed shot. He's very
Yeah,
mobile.
I went to like the rookie game right before the season started and saw him and was very impressed.
So next year, I know we should be gearing up for playoffs and getting ready for that. But next year, who do you buy out on this team? Who is not on your team next year? Who do you call up from the Phantoms? Because in my mind, Lawton could be your 3C. Philpol is gone. Reed's gone. You can move Lawton into that 3C role, and Vecchione should be able to slide in at 4C pretty seamlessly. And I mean, I loved Danique Martel when he was up here. I think he looked great, and when they sent him back down, I was a little upset. But who comes up for you next year? I mean, Brandon Manning's up. There's some rumors I've read the other day that Gudis is on the block. So who do you make a run at John Tavares? Like, what is your off
Man,
season?
that is the top free agent out there now. We'd have to probably move some guys around to get to Tavares. Um, I don't know what the deal is with him staying in Long Island. I'm not sure what he wants to do there. Um, but that would be incredible. I just don't see it happening. As much as I'd love to do it, I don't see it being that necessary if we keep our faith in G um, as your number one center. Or I guess he's playing the wing right now, but I still
He's
kind of think of him
he's the
as that
center
top.
on that line.
He's the center on the line. Come on, he's winning draws out there still. Um, yeah, so I don't think you go for Tavares as much as I'd love to do it, and I've fantasized about it. Um, you'd have to give up probably Sean Couturier and um, maybe even more than that. So probably not something I'm willing to do. But I would bring up more kids, man. I'd bring up maybe give Myers a shot. Um, Definitely bring up Moran, bring Sanheim back up, get rid of Gudis and Manning, and we're probably stuck with Amac for the rest of his contract. But um, we just overpay these guys, man. We can't get rid of them. So yeah, man, I try to if we could in a perfect world if we could buy them all out, I'd do it today and bring up these kids.
Now, one of the things that I talked about at the beginning of the year, and I don't know how you feel about it, and we talked about it earlier. We have a lot of young talent in the Phantoms right now, and the Phantoms are obviously doing well. There's obviously talent down there. Um, there seems to be, like I said earlier, reluctance for the front office to call up these young guys. Why do you think that is? Because I think going full Toronto Maple Leafs is a great idea, and they seem to not agree with me.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more there. It's clearly working in Toronto. I'm looking at it now. Even the Marlies, the Toronto's AHL team, is first place in their division. So something's going on in Toronto right now, and it's crazy. But I would absolutely bring up as many kids that are even close to NHL ready as possible, at least for the beginning of next season, and have them play a full year, man. Have them play a full campaign. I think that is just the way to grow players these days. I think the AHL, for these really skilled guys like Lindblom, is just a waste.
Yeah, Lindblom playing against grown men in the Swedish Elite League last year, and
dominating.
And I mean, they voted him the best player in the league at 21, 20, what is he, 20, 21 years old?
I'm not sure.
So, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for this team. I think Ron Hextall finally has gotten them out of cap hell, and he's also put them on the right path. But would you have liked them to see, or would you have liked to see them make another move at the deadline?
I don't know what you can do. As much as I'd like to see some of these guys go, again, we just pay too much. Like, we're paying Weiss like $2.5 million, Lehtera $4 something. So the guys who I'd like to see moved out are stuck here. So it's not much more we could have done. If not, I would have gone for, if we wanted to make a cup run, I would have gone for maybe a better veteran defenseman than Oduya. But I guess they're confident in what they got, and again, like they're playing with house money. So see what they can do. This is all unexpected. So just take it and run with it.
All right, so before I wrap up with you, I don't know how much. I mean, if you got something else to go on, I'd love for you to kind of riff. But my last real question I got for you tomorrow: Pittsburgh Penguins, second and third teams in the Metro. What's your prediction? Talk to me.
So this game is in Philly. As long as people can get there, it's going to be rowdy in there. If the Flyers can get a good start, I have all the confidence they can beat them and overtake second place in the Metro again. Yeah, my prediction for that game is a Flyers win in regulation. I think it's going to be tough for Pittsburgh to come into this building right now and get a win. We've been very good at home recently, so I'd like to see it keep rolling and us steamroll Pittsburgh.
That'd be nice. And I was watching the Boston game tonight. We have Boston, of course, on a back-to-back. We have 3 and 4, I think. We have Pittsburgh, Boston at home, then a day off, and then we have Winnipeg. Boston losing. I talked about it earlier. I did around the NHL segment. Patrice Bergeron, broken foot. Tuukka Rask has a lower body injury. Charlie McAvoy has an MCL sprain. They let up 5 tonight. I want to say they let up.
They won 6-5. They won 6-5 in overtime.
Yeah, they let up 5 tonight. Do you think the Flyers could also beat the second best team in the Atlantic?
Yeah, I absolutely think they could take these 2 games.
Big 4 points.
Like aware, yeah, big 4 points here. I do think they have to be aware they're playing back-to-back nights, and they got to play that game smart. But I have all confidence they can take these 2 games with the way they've been scoring. If they're shooting on a backup goalie, I have all the confidence in the world they can score 5 again. And then if they can just not give up 5 like they've been doing, they're in business.
What do you think the big mistake was in the Panthers game? There was just breakaway after. I don't fault Mrazek very much for that game, just because he got left high and dry so many times.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched the Flyers broadcast of that, but JJ and even Bill Clement, who I am annoyed with all the time,
he's the worst.
They were pointing it out, and it didn't seem like Hextall was adjusting to it. They were just getting beat on transition. Flyers would turn it over in the neutral zone, and Panthers were just flying the other way. They got so many skilled guys like Barkov and Huberdeau and Ekblad, and you can't give them guys a second, man, or they're going to beat you.
Well, do you have any other hot takes, any other Flyer stuff to leave us on before we wrap this segment of the Florida Flyer up?
Man, I think we covered anything I needed to talk about. My biggest thing was like the NHL awards this summer. I think we got 3 guys that better be in conversations. So keep looking forward to that, and I can't wait.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited. I think if this team can kind of pull their heads out of their asses for a little bit, I think we could steal around, especially if we get that Washington matchup. I think that they could win that, and then the next round, Pittsburgh. I mean, you win one round, you win one game, and anything can happen. So, do you think?
You never know what can happen when you get in the playoffs.
Do you think the road to the Stanley Cup goes through Tampa?
I think you got to go through Tampa. No doubt you're going to have to go through them. They look unstoppable. Kucherov is ridiculous. So I think you're going to have to go through Tampa Bay. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes, man. You never know what's going to happen in the playoffs.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, buddy. And
thanks for having me.
We will. We'll do one of these again real soon. Try and keep you on the podcast every once in a while. Once you get down in the area, we'll have you come on down and hang out with me. Sit at the table.
Do a playoff special. I do a playoff special too.
Once we get all those playoffs locked up, we'll do an around the NHL, you and I, and we'll talk it out and figure it out. So thanks for being on, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. And let's go Flyers.
Go Flyers.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of the Florida Flyer, and I'll see you guys all back here next week. I think I'm going to try to do this again weekly, so next week. Take it easy, guys.
See you guys.